Did you start it?
Jacob, I started the stream right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is BNJ Productions. I'm Jacob, and this is Brandon. And today we're doing another football talk. We're doing a little more college football today, as it's getting more and more exciting. First off, we're going to talk about whether teams like Florida, Texas, and Texas A&M, and if they're back or not from kind of having a couple long, sad seasons the past couple years, and now had 3 big wins this past week over LSU, Oklahoma, and Kentucky, and we're kind of going to dive in a little bit onto whether these three teams are going to be back and up in the spotlight and if they're good again. And then we've got our college football playoff predictions after that. But first off, we're going to start off with Florida. Florida is 5-1 right now. The 3 big games they've played this year, they lost to Kentucky the second week of the year, 27-16. They beat Mississippi State 13-6 and beat LSU 27-19. The defense is playing really good, especially against 2 great offensive teams in LSU and Mississippi State back-to-back weeks. The offense is still a little bit of a mystery, and they play Georgia October 27th, which is a little couple weeks away. But is Florida? What do you think about Florida here, Brennan?
I like what I see so far from this team. It's this is the first year in the while that they really impressed me. Every year there's kind of a disappointment after a few first 4 games. They usually lose to. They're always ranked high. There are always high expectations for Florida. But I think this upcoming Georgia game really is going to show if they test their mettle, see if they're really all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah, and they weren't really ready for Kentucky, but Kentucky kind of took them by surprise. Kentucky was undefeated before playing A&M this weekend at Kyle Field, but Florida, they've played really well. They beat a LSU team that people who think have the best chance to beat Alabama, but says something about LSU a little, and said something a little bit about Auburn. Auburn lost last week to Mississippi State, and kind of just a lot of big questions for both of these teams, those teams, but Florida's doing. I've got to say, I think they're back. I think they're finally playing at a level where they should be, and I think they have a chance to not win maybe win against Georgia, maybe take some people by surprise, but still got to say Georgia to win out of the SEC East, but they're getting to a point where they're doing really well. Up next, we got number 9, Texas, who's 5-1. They've had big games. They lost to their kryptonite Maryland 29-34. They beat USC 37-14. They beat TCU 31-16, and they beat Oklahoma this past week 48-45. Almost gave that game up. Sam Elhinger is playing really exceptional, and he's been kind of leading that team. Tom Herman has kind of shown people, hey, you thought we were going to be pretty bad, but hey, we're kind of good. And they play West Virginia November 3rd. And what do you think of this Texas team, Brandon?
I really like this Texas team this year. I think that they did a great job Tom Herman did a great job of turning this team around. I think Ellinger is the new face of Texas right now. He's new Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
He's really turned it around. I think they have a very hard Big 12 schedule coming up with a lot of great teams. I think we'll see if they really are as good as they are coming up, but they did beat one of the best teams in the Big 12 so far with Oklahoma.
You were really sold on Oklahoma before this week. I wasn't as much sold. I think they had a lot of troubles and I don't think Kyler Murray is as good as what people think he is, but that was just my opinion. You were really high on him, so you must think really high of this Texas team now.
I do think higher of this Texas team. I think higher of both teams. I think that Oklahoma came out and had a pretty bad game. They have some things to fix. They tend to put a lot of it on Kyler Murray's shoulders. Not many other people trying to step up. I like what I saw from Kyler this game. He had a good game, but
but I don't think Texas is going to be as good as they've started off this year towards the end. But I think in a couple of years or so they'll be right back at the top, and I kind of think that for both Texas and Florida and the team we're talking about in a couple of seconds. But I think Texas isn't quite there yet. I think they still need a lot of things to work through. I think this was a good quality win against Oklahoma. They almost gave it up, but I don't think they're going to get past West Virginia in a couple of weeks. But I think Texas is doing pretty well. They're heading the right direction, but I don't think they're quite there yet. Up next, we got number 22, Texas A&M, 4-2. Only 2 losses were against Clemson, a game they should have won 28-26. Lost against Bama 45-23, kind of a blowout there, but it was in Tuscaloosa and a lot of things there. A&M won in overtime against Kentucky, 20-14. Trayvon Williams had an amazing game there. The running defense is one of the best in the NCAA, and then Jimbo Fisher and Kellen Mond are a great coach-quarterback duo. Kellen Mond kind of stepped up his game quite a bit, taking the job away from Nick Starkel earlier this offseason, and just really incredible the way he's playing right now. Trayvon Williams, one of the best running backs in the SEC, leading the SEC in rushing yards, and they play LSU November 24th, kind of the next biggest game. Who knows how this team is going. Brandon, what do you think here?
Right now, I think Texas A&M is a team with a lot of talent. I think they still have a lot of putting together to do, a lot of work to go. Honestly, my prediction right now is they may not be the best team right now in college football, but I think towards the end of the year, as things start to click more, we could see Texas A&M being one of the best teams in college football.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely next year. Get Kellen Mond another year. Jimbo, his players a little more year under their belt for his system, and they're doing really well right now. When you almost beat the number 2 team in the nation in Clemson, you're doing something right. In Alabama, they're just so far ahead of everybody else in the NCAA. There's not a lot you can do. But
I think they'll be going into the next year with a good position. I think they're going to finish this year out with a great, maybe win the last 8 games of the season, get a good bowl game win, and start the next year.
I think so too. And I mean, Jimbo Fisher's already doing some things Kevin Sumlin never did at A&M, and just he's a great coach. They paid him well for good reason too. He's shown a lot of good things for A&M, and I think it's going to be really amazing in the next couple of years. Maybe not this year, but they have played really well against Clemson, not against Alabama, but you haven't seen anybody play well against Alabama this year.
Right.
But who knows?
That's one of the questions. Can anybody play well against Alabama?
It's most definitely.
To how good they are.
All right, which team do you think, Brandon, has the most promise out of these 3 teams?
Most promise? If I'm going to say this year most promise, I think the most promise to have the best season this year is the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it most promise for the future, I think Texas A&M is one of those teams.
I think I got to agree here. I'm an A&M fan. I'm probably going in the next fall to A&M, but I got to say Texas has the best chance to do well this year. A&M and Florida still got a couple years learning, but I mean, because Texas doesn't play as good as teams as Georgia and Alabama, but I think Texas A&M has the biggest promise with Kellen Mond and Jimbo here. All right, up next we have our playoff predictions for the college football. It's only week 6, but we're gonna go ahead and get these predictions out of the way, see if we're right. Brendan, who do you have as your number 1?
Number 1, I have Alabama.
Yeah, easy pick.
Easy pick. Their offensive line is just too good. It's always the key to their team. O-line, D-line.
And then Tua Tagovailoa, he's just so incredible. I think he's going to win the Heisman. It's going to be incredible here. And I got Alabama at number 1 too, and I think it's going to be easy for Alabama to win this year. I don't think anybody's going to pose any challenge. They're probably even going to sweep through the playoffs too.
They go into every line looking like it. They'll go into every game looking like an NFL team.
Yeah,
playing a
most
college
definitely.
Team.
All right, who do you got for your number 2?
Number 2, I have Ohio State Buckeyes. I like what I see from them so far. There's always a good team. Name slipped me. Coach is back.
Urban Meyer. They
survived the first 4 games. Barely. There was a little scare there, but they're back now, and I think that they're one of the best teams in the NCAA this year. Yeah,
and I think for my number 2, I've got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and they played incredible against Virginia Tech. And if they go 10-0, they don't have a conference game, conference championship. If they go 10-0, they're getting in this playoffs. And I think their defense plays exceptional. I think they have the best chance to me to play against Alabama. It's neck and neck with Ohio State, but I think they have the best chance to knock off Bama. I'm really fond of this Notre Dame team, especially the way they've played the past couple weeks. All right, Brandon, who you got for your number 3?
Number 3 right here, I have UCF. I think that UCF should have been in the college football playoffs last year, and with a lot of returning players this year, I think that they're just as good this year. Well, I like what I see from them. Again, they have a great O-line. That's one of the keys.
Yeah.
If you look in the top 10, every single team that's up there, top 25, they all – one common thing is a great O-line, and that's what I think separates a lot of people.
Yeah, UCF definitely has a lot of key players. They lost their quarterback from last year,